Navigating Prime Video feels like digging through a bargain bin at a flea market, mostly junk, but occasionally you find gold. The 80s were the golden age of practical action. Before CG, I turned everything into a weightless cartoon. I've spent the week filtering out the trash to find 12 movies that are gritty, violent, and unapologetically physical. These aren't the polished blockbusters everyone knows. These are the forgotten sweat and bullets flicks that defined the VHS era. These are 12 hard-hitting movies available right now that I've actually watched. Number 12, To Live and Die in LA, 1985. We are starting this list with a movie that isn't just a good action flick, it is a legitimate masterpiece that somehow gets left out of the conversation when people talk about the 80s. To Live and Die in LA, directed by William Friedkin, is the anti-buddy cop movie. If you know Friedkin from The French Connection or The Exorcist, you know he doesn't do safe. He does visceral, sweaty, panicked filmmaking, and this is him operating at the absolute peak of his powers. The story follows a Secret Service agent played by William Peterson long before he was the guy on CSI. He's on the trail of a counterfeiter named Rick Masters, played by Willem Dafoe in a performance that is so cool it practically freezes the screen. Masters isn't your typical screaming villain, he's an artist. There is a montage in this movie where we just watch him making fake money, printing the plates, dyeing the paper, checking the ink, and it is more gripping than most modern action sequences. It treats the crime with a level of procedural detail that makes it feel terrifyingly real. But the reason you're watching this is for the car chase. People always talk about Bullet or Ronin, but for my money, the wrong way freeway chase in this movie is the king. Friedkin didn't use CGI, he just put real stunt drivers in real cars and sent them driving against traffic on an actual Los Angeles freeway. You can feel the danger in every frame. It's chaotic, it's loud, and it captures the scorching heat of an LA summer better than any film I've ever seen. The soundtrack by Wang Chung gives the whole thing this pulsing, synth, pop dread that feels perfectly 85 without feeling dated. It's a cynical, mean-spirited, beautiful film that refuses to give you a happy ending, and that is exactly why it holds up. Now, if that LA heat is a bit too slick for you, let's trade the freeway for the Texas border in a movie that feels like a modern-day Sam Peckinpah Western. Number 11, Extreme Prejudice, 1987. Extreme Prejudice is what happens when you take the plot of a classic Western and drag it kicking and screaming into the late 80s war on drugs. Directed by Walter Hill, the guy who gave us The Warriors and 48 Ruse, this is a movie that smells like tequila and gunpowder. It stars Nick Nolte as a Texas Ranger who is the definition of old school. He wears the hat, he carries a big iron, and he doesn't say a word unless he absolutely has to. He's going up against his former best friend, played by Powers Booth, who has become a major drug kingpin across the border in Mexico. But that's only half the story. The movie also throws in a squad of officially dead special ops soldiers led by Michael Ironside, who are in town for a covert mission that intersects with Nolte's personal vendetta. It is a tangled web of allegiances, but Hill directs it with such a muscular, straight, forward style that you never get lost. The action here is loud and bloody. This is from that era where bullet squibs were the size of dinner plates. When someone gets shot in Extreme Prejudice, they don't just fall down. They get blown backward through a window. The finale is a shootout in a Mexican town that is clearly paying homage to the Wild Bunch, and it earns that comparison. It's a movie about men who are out of time, fighting a war that has no rules, and it features one of the best casts of that guy actors ever assembled. You've got Clancy Brown, William Forsythe, and Rip Torn all chewing scenery. It's a rough, tough Friday night rental that doesn't apologize for its machismo. And speaking of toughness, let's move from the dusty border to the grimy streets of New York City for a film where the danger comes from above. Number 10, Blue Thunder, 1983. Before RoboCop gave us a satire of militarized police, Blue Thunder gave us a terrifyingly serious look at it. Directed by John Badham, this is a techno thriller that feels weirdly prophetic today. Roy Scheider plays Frank Murphy, an LAPD helicopter pilot who is selected to test a new tactical chopper nicknamed the Special. This thing is a beast. It has whisper mode, thermal vision, microphones that can record a conversation through walls, and a nose gun that tracks the pilot's eye movements. On the surface, it plays like a cool gadget movie. You get to see the helicopter doing loops and shredding targets, but the script is actually much smarter than that. It's about the surveillance state. Murphy starts using the helicopter to peep into people's lives, but he eventually uncovers a conspiracy involving the government using these machines to quell civil unrest. It turns from an action movie into a paranoia thriller really quickly. Roy Scheider grounds the whole thing. He brings that weary, Jaws-era intensity where you just believe he's a guy trying to do the right thing in a system that's rigged. The aerial photography is spectacular. Again, this is pre-CGI. They were actually flying these choppers through the skyscrapers of downtown Los Angeles. The final dogfight between Murphy and the Blue Thunder and a military helicopter over the city streets is one of the best aerial sequences ever put on film. It's tense, it's claustrophobic, and it has a real sense of weight. If you like your action with a side of political cynicism, this is the one. And if you think a helicopter with a mind of its own is scary, wait until you see what Michael Crichton cooked up with robots that are designed to kill. Number 9. Runaway, 1984. Runaway is a movie that I feel like I imagined for years because nobody ever talks about it. It was written and directed by Michael Crichton, the guy who wrote Jurassic Park and Westworld, so you know the concepts are going to be solid, even if the execution is a little bit B-movie. It's set in a near future where robots are everywhere, doing housework, construction, farming. Tom Selleck, sans the mustache, which is jarring on its own, plays a cop in the Runaway division. His job is basically to hunt down malfunctioning appliances. Usually, it's just a vacuum cleaner that's gone rogue. But then he stumbles onto a plot by a villain played by none other than Gene Simmons from KISS. Yes, you heard that right. Gene Simmons plays an evil genius named Luther who is programming robots to kill people. He develops these heat-seeking bullets that can turn corners, and these terrifying little mechanical spiders that can climb up your leg and inject you with acid. I'll be honest, the effects are a mixed bag. The matte paintings of the futuristic city look a little dated, but the practical props, the robots and the spiders, are incredibly effective. There's a scene involving those spiders on a highway that is genuine nightmare fuel. Selleck plays it completely straight, bringing a blue-collar weariness to the role that balances out the campiness of the villain. It's a unique sci-fi procedural that deals with the fear of automation in a way that feels very relevant to the AI conversation we're having right now. It's cheesy, sure, but it's got some really inventive set pieces. And keeping with that theme of high-tech threats hiding in plain sight, let's talk about a movie that blends the police procedural with a straight-up creature feature. Number 8. The Hidden, 1987. If you like the movie Men in Black but wish it was rated R, violent, and completely devoid of comedy, you need to watch The Hidden. This is one of the most underrated sci-fi action hybrids of the decade. The premise is dynamite. An alien parasite comes to Earth, and it loves three things: fast cars, loud music, and violence. It jumps from body to body, using people up like batteries. 1 minute it's a stockbroker, the next it's a stripper, then it's a dog. It doesn't care who it inhabits, it just wants to go fast and kill people. Michael Nouri plays the burnt-out LA cop trying to stop the spree, and Kyle MacLachlan plays the weird, stiff FBI agent assigned to help him. If you're a Twin Peaks fan, seeing MacLachlan here is a treat. He's playing an alien in a human suit, and his subtle, awkward performance is the perfect counter, balanced to the chaos around him. The movie starts at 100 miles per hour and never slows down. The opening scene is a bank heist followed by a car chase where a guy in a wheelchair is driving a Ferrari. It sets the tone immediately. The practical effects for the alien creature are gross and slimy in the best way possible. But what really makes The Hidden work is that it doesn't treat the premise like a joke. The action is hard, hitting, the gunfights are bloody, and the body count is astronomical. It manages to be a buddy, cop movie, a horror movie, and a sci-fi thriller all at once without feeling overstuffed. It's a sleek, efficient adrenaline ride. And speaking of high-speed thrills, let's stay on the road for a movie that was written by John Carpenter but often gets lost in his filmography. Number 7. Black Moon Rising, 1986. Black Moon Rising is a strange beast. It feels like two different movies smashed together, but somehow it works. The script was written by John Carpenter, but it was directed by Harley Kokolas. It stars Tommy Lee Jones as a professional thief who is hired to steal a data tape from a corporation. Sounds standard, right? But things go sideways, and he ends up hiding the tape inside a prototype high-tech car called the Black Moon. The car is the real star of the show. It looks like a sleek black wedge, very concept, car 80s. The problem is, the car, with the tape inside, gets stolen by another ring of car thieves led by Linda Hamilton. So now, Tommy Lee Jones has to infiltrate their operation to steal the car back to get the tape. It's a heist within a heist. Tommy Lee Jones is doing his usual stoic, grumpy routine, but it fits the character perfectly. Linda Hamilton is tough and charismatic, fresh off of Terminator. The movie has this cool, synth, heavy atmosphere that feels very similar to Escape from New York, even though Carpenter didn't direct it. The climax involves the Black Moon car doing a jump between two skyscrapers that, while clearly a model shot, is still incredibly satisfying. It's a movie that loves the engineering of cars and the mechanics of a heist. It's a bit of a slow burn in the middle, but the mood is so specific and cool that you won't mind. And if you enjoy movies that pull back the curtain on how illusions are created, my next pick is the ultimate movie magic thriller. Number 6. FX 1986. FX is a movie that is obsessively loved by people who grew up in the 80s, but is largely unknown to anyone under 30. It stars Brian Brown as Rolly Tyler, one of the best special effects artists in the business. He's the guy who makes the fake monsters and the squibs for horror movies. The Justice Department approaches him with a job. They want him to stage a fake assassination of a mob boss who has turned informant, so the mob will stop looking for him. Rolly takes the job, sets up the gag, and pulls it off. But, surprise, surprise, he gets double-crossed. The people who hired him try to kill him, and now he has to use his special effects skills to survive. It's essentially Home Alone for adults, but with explosives and animatronics. Brian Dennehy plays the cop investigating the murder, and he is just fantastic. He's sloppy, he eats constantly, but he's sharp as a tack. The chemistry between him and Brown, even though they spend most of the movie apart, is great. The joy of this movie is watching Rolly improvise. He uses mirrors, strobe lights, and remote-controlled carts to take out hitmen. It's a celebration of practical effects in an era before CGI took over. Every trap he sets feels tactile and clever. It respects the audience by showing you the setup before the payoff. It's a smart, fun mystery that really leans into its unique hook. Now, from a hero who uses fake violence to one who is trained in a very specific, mystical form of real violence, let's look at a failed franchise starter that is honestly better than it has any right to be. Number 5. Remo Williams. The Adventure Begins, 1985. With a title like Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, you can tell the studio was banking on a sequel. Spoiler alert, they didn't get one. But that doesn't mean this movie isn't a blast. Based on the Destroyer paperback novels, it stars Fred Ward as a rough, around-the-edges New York cop who is killed and recruited by a secret organization called Cure. They change his face, change his name to Remo Williams, and hand him over to a master of Sinanju, the martial art that is the sun source of all other martial arts. The master, Chiun, is played by Joel Grey under heavy makeup. Now, in 2026, putting a white actor in prosthetics to play a Korean master is definitely not going to fly, and it's a valid criticism. But if you can look past the dated casting, the dynamic between Ward and Grey is hilarious. It's a mentor-student relationship where the mentor openly despises the student. Fred Ward is effortlessly charming here. He's not a muscle-bound action god. He's a regular guy who grumbles his way through training. The centerpiece of the film is a sequence where Remo is fighting bad guys on the scaffolding surrounding the Statue of Liberty while it's being restored. It was shot on a full-scale replica of the statue's torso, and the sense of height and vertigo is incredible. It's an adventure movie in the truest sense, lighthearted, pulp, inspired, and full of great stunts. It's a shame we didn't get more because Ward really owned this character. From a lighthearted hero to one who is ice cold, let's bring out the harmonica for a bounty hunter who has seen it all. Number 4. Wanted, Dead or Alive, 1987. Rutger Hauer. That's usually enough of a reason to watch a movie, but in Wanted, Dead or Alive, he is operating on a level of cool that shouldn't be legally allowed. He plays Nick Randall, a descendant of the character Steve McQueen played in the old TV series. But this isn't a Western. It's a neo-noir set in modern-day Los Angeles. Randall is a high-priced bounty hunter who lives in a converted warehouse, plays the harmonica, and keeps an arsenal of weapons in his locker. He is hired to track down a terrorist played by Gene Simmons. Yes, Gene Simmons is the villain on this list twice. I don't know what it was about the 80s, but casting the guy from KISS as a psychopath was apparently the go-to move. And honestly, he's great here. He's terrifyingly calm and ruthless, blowing up movie theaters and killing innocent people just to make a point. The movie is sleek, dark, and melancholic. Hauer plays Randall as a lonely samurai figure. He's efficient, professional, and completely detached until the bad guy makes it personal. The final confrontation is brutal and satisfying, with one of the best one-liners in 80s action history involving a grenade. It's a movie that oozes style. It's not trying to be a blockbuster, it's trying to be a hard-boiled crime thriller, and it succeeds. If you want something that feels a bit more like a comic book come to life, my next pick is pure, unadulterated schlock in the best possible way. Number 3. Shakedown, 1988. Shakedown, sometimes called Blue Jean Cop, is the kind of movie that feels like it was written by a 12-year-old who just drank 6 cans of Jolt Cola. And I mean that as a compliment. It stars Peter Weller, right off of RoboCop, as an idealistic public defender, and Sam Elliott as a renegade undercover cop who looks like he just walked off the set of Roadhouse. The two of them team up to uncover corruption in the NYPD. The plot is standard stuff, but the set pieces are absolutely insane. At one point, Sam Elliott shoots the wheels off a plane that is trying to take off while he is hanging out of a speeding Porsche. Later, Peter Weller jumps onto the landing gear of a plane as it's taking off over the Coney Island boardwalk. It is pure, glorious nonsense. Sam Elliott is having the time of his life here. He's growling one-liners, beating up bad guys, and sleeping in a movie theater. The chemistry between the uptight Weller and the loose cannon Elliott is actually really fun. It's a New York movie through and through, capturing the grime and the graffiti of the city before it got cleaned up. It doesn't take itself seriously for a second, and that's why it works. It's an absolute party of a movie, but we can't stay in party mode forever. Let's bring things back down to earth with a gritty, intense thriller starring the other big action star of the era. Number 2. Nighthawks, 1981. Sylvester Stallone is obviously known for Rambo and Rocky, but Nighthawks is the hidden gem in his filmography. Originally planned as a The French Connection sequel, it got retooled into a standalone film, and you can still see the DNA of Popeye Doyle in the script. Stallone plays Deke Da Silva, a New York street cop who loves his undercover work. He's forced to transfer to a counter-terrorism unit to hunt down an international terrorist named Wolfgar, played by Rutger Hauer in his American debut. This is a cat and mouse game played out on the streets of New York. Stallone is actually acting here, not just flexing. He plays Da Silva as a guy who is out of his depth with the international intrigue, but knows the streets better than anyone. But the movie belongs to Rutger Hauer. Wolfgar is charming, lethal, and completely unpredictable. The tension comes from the fact that he could be anyone, anywhere. The scene in the cable car over the East River is a masterclass in suspense. The movie feels gritty and dangerous, with a pulsing synth score by Keith Emerson that adds to the unease. It's a serious, adult thriller that shows a different side of Stallone. It proves he could do the brooding detective thing just as well as the one-man army thing. And finally, we are closing out this list with a movie that transcends the genre entirely, a film that critics at the time called art house action. Number 1. Runaway Train, 1985. Runaway Train is a beast of a film. Based on a screenplay by Akira Kurosawa, yes, that Kurosawa, it was directed by Andrei Konchalovsky, and it is unlike anything else from the decade. Jon Voight plays Manny, a hardened convict in a maximum security prison in Alaska. He breaks out with a younger, stupider inmate played by Eric Roberts. They manage to hop a freight train to escape, but the engineer has a heart attack and dies, leaving the train speeding out of control through the frozen wilderness. This isn't just a disaster movie about a train not stopping. It's a philosophical character study about freedom and beastliness. Jon Voight is terrifying in this role. He looks half feral, with gold teeth and a scar across his eye. He gives a monologue about how no beast is so fierce but knows some touch of pity that will send shivers down your spine. The action is relentless because the train itself is a character. It's a screeching, grinding metal monster smashing through everything in its path. The cinematography of the snow-covered Alaskan landscape is breathtakingly beautiful and cold. The ending of this movie is, without hyperbole, one of the most powerful endings in cinema history. It doesn't give you the Hollywood wrap-up, it gives you something poetic and tragic. It is an absolute dynamite piece of filmmaking that proves action movies can be high art. There you have it, 12 forgotten action gems that prove you don't need a green screen to make a movie exciting. They are all sitting on Prime Video right now, ready for a re-watch. If you are sick of the algorithm feeding you the same 5 superhero movies and want recommendations, go ahead and sub to the channel. I'll keep digging for the good stuff as long as you keep showing up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.